Good afternoon, everyone. Today, my group member and I are going to talk about the project manager as a leader. Along with this chapter, you will be able to learn of what it means to be a project leader, understanding its strengths and weaknesses, creating project constituents, and understanding the importance of motivation. We will also discuss conflict resolution, team synergies, and a practical approach to leading project meetings and not managing them. So, a leader is a professional who leads people and makes sure a project is carried through. The project leader engages the team, motivating them, taking care of their needs, and maintaining a friendly and productive work environment. So, when leading your project team, use an art and discipline approach in the project environment. What it means here is that the art of managing people is by how much you treat your team as if it is like the most valuable assets of your project. Well, managing people is no longer simply a responsibility. There is now an increased recognition of the importance of skill of people management or your project team. So how well or badly a team is managed can affect your team's retention, your productivity, and your creativity in making your project. A project leader is someone who can inject enthusiasm into the work environment and make your employees or team excited about their job, as opposed to having staff who simply do as they are told. With regards to the discipline approach in a project environment is that it requires a team of people acting in an organized way to achieve a common objective of the team. It requires visibility to accurate information and trust in the members to do the right thing with the information provided. So thus, the people factor can be and often the most challenging part of the project equation. The project champion, mga team members, functional managers, subject matter experts, and virtually all the stakeholders need to be effectively managed to ensure project success. Laying the foundation. So before you can attempt to understand and lead others, you should invest in a meaningful self-inventory. Generally, when we say self-inventory, it is a questionnaires, and a series of statements in which participants check characteristics or traits that they practice to apply to themselves. However, the book author does not suggest that you necessarily undergo a psychoanalysis to be able to understand and lead others. Rather, you just have a practical look in the mirror. What the author means here, in my opinion, is that before you can lead others, you must first be able to lead yourself. So it starts within yourself. You should trust yourself. Gaining trust requires a leader to first trust themselves and believe in what matters most to them. So a core set of values that defines who they are. Having the ability to be comfortable with who you are is the unseen foundation that is exhibited when great leaders can remain calm, focused, and see the big picture in the most difficult circumstances. So, um, this will typically provide valuable insight regarding your actions as well as of those of your team members and other project stakeholders. Understanding leadership characteristics. So there are a lot of key characteristics of an effective leadership, and one of that is having an improved understanding of yourself and your stakeholders will lead to more efficient communication and better project leadership decisions. So understanding yourself is having the ability to be emotionally intelligent in taking the lessons learned on the journey to want to be better each day and having the desire to make those who are around you better. Being honest with yourself balances your humility in knowing that you are not perfect, while at the same time having confidence in your strength. We all want to be surrounded naman with people that is honest, positive, competent, inspiring, and it is no different for what people look for in their leaders in the workplace. So leaders who know how to conduct themselves have great influence and can make the difference to an individual and to the overall success of the project. So in that sense, your ability to persuade, motivate, and resolve conflicts will improve also. So when you lay the foundation regarding these people skills, you avoid behavioral misalignment with stakeholders on all levels. Your understanding of leadership characteristics also include understanding your individual traits, strengths, and weaknesses, as this indicates how you should flex your style and adjust to the stakeholder and the situation. So this will produce a better overall alignment, which leads to greater efficiency. So I think that concludes my part. I will now turn the virtual floor over to the rest of my group members. Thank you.
So hi everyone, my name is Cherry Ann Fabricante and I am the next reporter. So the next topic is understanding leadership styles. So why do we need to understand leadership styles? Many projects fail because the project managers insist that the stakeholders must adjust to the leadership style. So in understanding leadership styles, first is having a project team maturation. It requires you to to progress from directive leadership style to delegative approach. This is a logical applies to most scenarios, emphasizing you to be flexible in your approach. So as you move through a typical project day, however, you are faced with many and varied interaction, requiring you to a smooth transition from one leadership style to the next leadership style. So the next is just a chameleon changes skin color to maximize survival, so should you adjust your approach to people, situation, and circumstances to ensure project efficiency. So this means that some project leaders possesses a natural aptitude for this, whereas others need to work at it. You should invest time and effort in developing this skill, because just as a chameleon changes skin color to maximize survival, so should you adjust your approach to people, situation, and circumstances to ensure project efficiency. So lastly, in understanding leadership styles is having a natural styles and cognizant of the reluctance. So most of us have a natural preferred style that we are comfortable with, and this can often make the transition from project manager to leader difficult to begin with. So it is easy for you to operate when you are behaving naturally. So when circumstances requires you to break out of this area, though it will always require a certain amount of work. And to be an effective leader, you should be cognizant of the reluctance you will probably encounter when changing your own behavior. So if directive style is indicated when dealing with a stakeholder and it happens to your least preferred, make a conscious effort to be disciplined. So therefore, all of this attention to project leadership detail will result in improved alignment among your leadership styles, your stakeholders' behavior characteristics, and the numerous project scenarios encountered on a daily basis. So in figure 13.1, leadership style and alignment. So as you can see on this figure, there is a alignment of your leadership style to your project scenarios, which is the project scenarios 1, 2, and 3, which it will also align to your stakeholders' behavior and characteristics. So when a leadership team is truly aligned on the company's vision, it enables the entire organization to have a something to get behind. So that empowered leaders will also at all levels can then make decision based on a supporting project scenarios. Suffer. So which means that constituents do not expect perfection, but most require consistency from their project leaders. So if you adopt this approach, it will have a positive effect on the company or in the team and stakeholders' morale. So the next topic is creating project constituents. So effective project leadership is recognized by colleges, practitioners, and authors as an integral part of the overall project success. So let me give you a short history. In the late 20th century, very little attention was paid to the concept of project manager as leader. In a typical status meeting, team member reported progress regarding assigned action items, the same as today. So if the work was not completed, the team member was often singled out or perhaps his functional manager has called. So turnover was commonplace in the project team environment. So as time have changed, effective project leadership is recognized by colleges, practitioners, and authors as an integral part of an overall project success. So this rise of project-based organization in which most work is accomplished through projects, the virtual nature and reach of this global project and cultural diversity have contributed to the demand for the better leaders, not just managers of teams, which means leader needs constituents and project leaders are no exemption. So in this next slide, creating consistency in working relationships. So first is engender trust and respect, perhaps even admiration. So to create a constituency, as mentioned in the previous slide, team members and stakeholders who enthusiastically perform or support the project work, you need to engender trust and respect, perhaps even admiration. Why? Because encouraging mutual respect will help to reduce workplace stress, conflict, and even problems. An increase in workplace respect will help to improve communication between colleagues. So increase teamwork and reduce stress as peace in the workplace source. So and increase productivity, knowledge, and understanding will result. And next is it is important to walk the talk and establish a consistency in working relationship. So the core of the walk the talk is to be the change you want to see in your company. In other words, tackle your own behavior first before communicating these changes to your workforce. In that way, you can establish some street cred before you ask your employees to take on the new changes too. So, for example, if a coach in any sport employees is a very demanding style and then abandons in mid-season, the team will be confused and confounded, and its performance will more likely suffer. And which means in constituents do not expect perfection but most require consistency from their project leaders. So if you adopt this approach, it will have a positive effect on team and stakeholders' morale. And I think that's all with my part. The next reporter will continue. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. So today I will be discussing first about encouraging risk-taking and the elimination of fear of failure. You should encourage risk-taking as a project leader and aim to eradicate the fear of failure. The team members' capacities to perform at a high level will be hampered if it is hesitant to make mistakes. To optimize each member's contribution to the project, it's critical to make use of their knowledge and abilities. And also, mistakes provide valuable chances. It means that mistakes provide tremendous opportunities not only to learn from them, but also to mold behavior and establish the tone of the work environment. And lastly, admit when you are wrong. When you make a mistake, confess it, apologize, and explain how you plan to correct the situation. If team members see you being upfront and prepared to discuss your mistakes, there's a good chance they follow your lead and takes the calculated risk as the project progresses. And then establishing a positive culture of dissent. Encourage and promote a diverse range of viewpoints. As a project manager, you must foster an environment that supports the open interchange of ideas and opinions without fear of retaliation. And then, positive culture of dissent encourages the flow of ideas and aids in strategic and tactical decision making. It means that if you surround yourself with yes people who lack the essential vetting skills, your project will most certainly stall and you will lose sight of your constituents' true worth. And lastly, the motivation. Project managers expect team members to finish activities and projects on schedule. As a project manager, you must add a new element, which is the maximum performance. Motivate individuals to motivate the team and establish the foundation for a high performance environment. Regardless of how the technical components of the projects are managed, or unmotivated project crew will struggle to achieve their goals. The duty of the project manager is to maintain momentum by getting to know the team and maintaining high morale. Continues to acknowledge good work and celebrate modest victory.
Good day, everyone. Let's proceed to the next topic in continuation with the report, which is all about project leadership and the team environment. So, the project manager as a leader is a relatively new concept because project management is totally different from leadership. So, successful project managers may not be effective leaders. So, by understanding the difference between the project management and leadership and taking the path to become effective leaders, successful project managers can utilize their innovative and creative skills to help them develop their leadership skills that will complement their project management abilities. So, as a project manager today, there is a need to address the following. First, team member roles, then conflict resolution strategies, and lastly, synergies. Starting with identifying and developing team member roles. So the project manager is the chef who is responsible for mixing the ingredients of project team member roles, skill set, and personalities to maximize overall performance. In today's project world, you need to identify team member strengths, weaknesses, traits, and patterns to establish a lasting project rapport. So each team member has a role to play in the team, defined by skill set and experiences. So some might be optimists who encourages innovative ideas and positivity, while others will be more pragmatic and encourage definable goals and structure. So the point is that all roles have their own value in collaboration of a team. So the main role of a team leader here is to provide a team with direction and support. So they're also responsible for delegating the task. So to effectively lead the team, a team leader must outline not only the team's main objective, but the tasks that each employee is responsible for. In order for the team to gel, project management must observe the dynamics of the group, be proactive, and identify danger zones where potential conflicts may occur, look for opportunities, and promote synergies for maximum team performance. Now let's proceed to the 5 approaches to address conflicts in project environment, which is sometimes refers to as the conflict resolution modes by Susan Junda. First is avoidance. Avoidance is also called the fight syndrome. So avoidance is often regarded as a temporary solution to a problem. So the problem and the resulting conflict can come up again and again. Some people view avoiding as a cowardice and an unwillingness to be responsive to a situation. Then we have accommodating. Accommodating is also called smoothing. So it is an attempt to reduce the emotions that exist in a conflict. And this is accomplished through emphasizing the areas of agreement and de-emphasizing the areas of disagreement. So accommodating does not necessarily resolve a conflict, but it tries to convince both parties to remain at the bargaining table because a solution is possible. In smoothing, one may sacrifice one's own goal in order to satisfy the needs of the other party. Then we have compromising. Compromising is an attempt to find the middle ground. To compromise is to search for solutions so that both parties live at some degree of satisfaction. So this method is used when you can't win, when others are as strong as you are, or when you are not sure that you are right, or when you want to maintain your relationship with your opponent. Next approach is collaborating or confronting. With this approach, the conflicting parties meet face to face and try to work through their disagreements. So this approach should focus more on problem solving and less on being combative. And it is a collaboration and integration where both parties need to win. Thus, this is also a win-win scenario. And lastly, forcing and competing approach. This is what happens when one party tries to impose the the solution on being uncooperative. So conflict resolution works best when resolution is achieved at the lowest possible levels. So the higher up the conflict goes, the greater the tendency for the conflict to be forced, with the result of being a win-lose situation in which one party wins at the expense of the other. Then let's proceed with the synergy. So synergy comes from the Greek word synergos, which means working together. Thus, it is an idea that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Then we have the characteristics of high-performing teams that exhibit positive energy. First is project team shares a common purpose and each member is willing to work towards achieving project objectives. Then, the team identifies individual talents and expertise and uses them, depending on the project's needs at any given time. So at these times, the team willingly accepts the influence and leadership of the members whose skills are relevant to the immediate task. Then, roles are balanced, and these roles are shared to facilitate both the accomplishment of tasks and feelings of the group cohesion and morale. Then, project team exerts energy toward problem solving rather than allowing itself to be drained by interpersonal issues or competitive struggles. Then differences of opinions are encouraged and freely expressed. Then team members set high personal standards of performance and encourage each other to realize the objectives of the project. And lastly, members identify with the team and consider it an important source of both professional and personal growth. Thus, project team synergy will drive the team to become champions. They will create breakthrough and get projects done ahead of schedule and under budget. So overall, synergy and project management team means that they are bonded together by mutual interdependency and a common goal or vision. Thus, they trust each other and exhibit a high level of collaboration. So that would be all for my part. Thank you for listening.
Good day, everyone. As a continuation, I will be discussing in leading project status meetings. Now, status meetings has important role in the project management and are critical to the project success. However, most of the organization hold too many meetings that they take up too much time with no valuable impact on the project as well as to the project members, resulting to an inefficient meetings. It is the responsibility of the project leader in making the status meeting efficient, effective, and productive. Next, please. Now, here are the best practices for efficient runs of project status meeting. First, status the work. It means it doesn't expend valuable time accomplishing the work in the meeting. Second, establishing the meeting ground rules such as number of minimum of members for a quorum enough to hold the meeting. Second, consensus in case of deadlock. If five members agree, then the meeting proceeds with the possibility of revisit the issue. Third, all titles are left at the door. Fourth, confidentiality that everything said stays in the meeting room. And lastly, one person speaks at a time. Next, please. Third, the meeting must start on time to end on time. Fourth, appropriate or appoint a timekeeper to help you keep your schedule. Fifth, recruit a scribe to record and distribute meeting minutes. Six, focus on participation to ensure that every voice is heard. Seven, do not allow extended sidebar discussion. And lastly, ensure that all electronic devices are off or on vibrate. Now, we must take note that as a project manager, when establishing ground rules, it is important to include all members to ensure buy-in. Just like what we have learned in the previous lesson that those members who will execute the plan should be involved in the planning phase to properly implement the plan. Next, please. Now, working with virtual teams. We all know that communication is crucial to the satisfaction of the project goals. It is significant to identify the specific communication challenges and plan on how to overcome them. So, to illustrate, the occurrence of the pandemic leads to emergence of virtual communication instead of face-to-face interaction. However, we still face challenges because of the slow internet connection due to the geographical concern. Now, communication on every level can become an art, a science, a circus, or a torment. Next, please. So here are the challenges and the barriers that can cause the status meetings. First is the multicultural or multilingual team members, cultural differences, differences in work habits, protocols, and style that would tend to get lost in transition of the project, which prevents the development for real team unity. Now, next, please. To combat these challenges, it is important to go back to basics, wherein a project manager must learn to understand its team members and stakeholders. Having a face-to-face meeting in the middle of pandemic may prove difficulty given with the situation, but is crucial to team bonding and future morale. Furthermore, adopting virtual meetings communication tools in virtual meetings means investing upgrades by highlighting the costs and negative effects of outdated programs on previous projects. And as the project progresses, it can also be useful to facilitate as many opportunities for informal interaction among team members as possible. So this helps overcome the loss of casual interaction and assist in breaking down barriers. Next, please. Now, here are the key points to remember. First, the more agile you become in leading others, the greater the chance of project success. Second, it is important to walk the talk and establish consistency in your working relationship, encouraging risk-taking, eliminating fear of failure, and establishing a positive culture of dissent will make you more effective project manager. And it is the job of the project leader to keep the momentum going by knowing your team members and ensuring high morale. And lastly, as a project leader, you need to be able to identify and develop team members' roles, determine the appropriate approach to conflict resolution, lead project status meetings, and work with virtual teams. That would be all for our report, and thank you for listening.